Committee and Committee of the Whole to order for July 29th. And let's start out with the agenda for the review of the agenda for August 4th.
Mayor, you need to put on the record who is here to make certain that on the record you have a quorum.
Okay, so we have Councilmember Camus and Davis who are here, so we have a quorum. All right, so let's start out. On pages 4 and 5. 6 and 7. 8 and 9. 10 and 11.
Mayor,
Yes.
did you do orders of the day for this meeting?
No, I did not.
Okay, because there is a change to one of the items, and I think you need to make it clear to the public what items are going to be discussed today.
Okay, so orders of the day. There's a change in Ed, or can you or Dave walk us through what that change is?
I believe in the mayor's recommendation or the mayor's item, there is a withdrawal or a drop on that now.
G2.
Okay.
G2.
Tony, is that correct?
Yes, it's G2. I'm scrolling to it. I'll share the screen.
So we need to approve that change. Is that
Right, because the council usually approves it to make certain that that the recommendation to withdraw or to drop is what the Rules Committee wants to do, and then you move forward and that item is no longer part of the agenda.
Motion to approve the orders of the day.
Thank you. Can I get a
Second.
second, please?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. And I see Councilmember Arenas has joined us. Hopefully you caught some of that, Councilmember Arenas. We're just making a change to the orders of the day.
Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor. Yes, thank you.
All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you for keeping me on track, Ed.
That's one of my jobs.
There's more to come. All right, pages 13 and 14. Pages 15 and 16. Pages 17 and 18. Pages 19 and 20. Pages 21 and 22. Pages 23. And that is it. I know that there's a desire to have an 11 o'clock start time. And there's also an ad sheet as well. So if the maker of the motion, if they want to have 11 o'clock start time, can you add that as well as the ad sheet, please?
And Vice Mayor, if I can just address one of the ad sheets, I believe that is the one that will include the direction from the council at yesterday's special meeting, that we come back with a proposal to possibly consolidate a few of the ballot measures or to keep them separately. So we have quickly attempted to do that within the last 24 hours in that to provide that option at the August 4th meeting. And we have attempted to provide you with the proposed question that would include the combined items on one ballot measure. but also provide you with the opportunity to keep them as separate ballot measures. So you will see that we have attempted to do that on the ad sheet, and that is what will appear next week to give the council the opportunity to make that decision.
And you did all that, Ed, from yesterday to today?
Again, I want to point out that Mark Vanny is the main drafter, and so I want to give him all the accolades for doing that. He does have assistance from me and others in the office, but he's the main drafter. So we've done this, and hopefully it will be what you all asked us to do, and it will be ready. And today it's just the agenda language that you're looking at. We still need to do the actual revisions to the ballot measure, and we also need to give you a supplemental memo that describes what's happening. So this is simply the agenda language that needs to appear, that you need to approve for next week's meeting.
That's awesome. Remind that, make sure you put that in his performance review.
Yes.
Great
So
job.
just to be clear, it didn't show up on the ad sheet. We ended up revising 3.5 on the main agenda to reflect what you just said.
Oh, okay. Well, that's even better. So then I was just explaining what was in the agenda already based on the direction that was given to us yesterday.
Wow. So I'll move approval of the August 4th agenda, including the ad sheet and with a start time of 11 a.m.
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, on to agenda for August 11th. Pages 4 and 5. Pages 6 and 7. Pages 8 and 9. Pages 10 and 11. Pages 12 and 13. And that is it. And actually, I see three hands that are raised. So let me take public comments. First is Blair Beekman.
Hi, I need to ask a procedural question first. I wanted to
Sure.
comment on the first agenda item. Can I have that time to do that now and then speak later on this agenda?
Yes, Blair, I'll let you do that. And if you say something that causes us to change our vote on that first agenda, we'll do that.
Well, thank you very much. Very nice of you. Okay, because I did, as usual, did my preparing for a speech here. Okay, thank you. With item 3.3 of the August 4th agenda, as you were trying to parse different ideas that can fit together as initiatives for the fall ballot, I thank you to the thankful work to get the IPA ballot measure standing alone and clear in the fall of 2020. It's important. Thank you. I hope from this work it will continue to be considered how a community police advisory board may also be needed. And from the work yesterday, I hope you can consider the voice and input from all of the city council and those elected to city office in San Jose. This has to be an important language of the city charter community process in 2021. I think this is what Councilperson Arenas was trying to make clear yesterday. And I feel that item 2.c from Councilperson Jones' memo yesterday came close to offering this concept. Can this be made a bit more clear as the intentions of the city charter meeting process in 2021? Overall, very much of a thank you that you're actually considering how the voices of everyday community can better participate in the community government process at this time. My remaining time with item 4.1, police body cam footage and the days of the protest is important item today. As we were all brave and uncertain in the first days of the protest, I can't say enough of my dismay how police could have handled this situation differently. And there's a part of a long-term problem and trend that will need to be addressed. I also have my own personal issues that body cam footage of itself needs to be a more open public process. You had a great meeting on January 22nd of this year in rules that asked the question, what exactly can be, better openness for the community. Your answers were very dim, but it offered the idea that you're thinking about the subject. So thank you. Refer to that meeting, January 22nd, 2020, and thank you. I hope we can all learn from it. Thanks.
Thank you, Blair. Ellis? Or Elias? Elias? You're on mute. All right, he dropped off. Tessa?
Yeah, a point of order, Vice Mayor. Unless everybody else is wanting to speak on the prior item, maybe we should see if anybody wants to reconsider the one that passed already.
Yeah, I was gonna wait to let there's two more speakers in case somebody else wanted to speak on the prior item as well. I just didn't want to do the reconsider thing twice.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. So Tessa?
Oh, can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. Well, that was kind of difficult to get onto this meeting. That's my comment. I did get an alert from some thing that there was a meeting that it popped up, which was good, something to do with my my iPhone. But that turned out to not be the Zoom meeting. Luckily, Jeremy Taylor sent me a link, and I was going to ignore it because I said, "Oh, I'm on the because I thought I was on the right link." Luckily, he sent it to me, and I got on to the Zoom where I can interact with you. And so the thing is that I'm getting every day I get on my Facebook that Deb Davis is going to have a meeting on Saturday night. Very nice, but we need to have these meetings advertised and shown us how we get onto these, to make it very easy for us to be engaged. And so that's my comment, is to make, we're doing better with engagement because of COVID-19, is that it's made us be virtual. And we need to be virtual all the time. And we need to work on making it that our city council members need to let us know about these meetings, how we get on, how to make it easier to do this. That's one of my comments. And then I had trouble, finding your agenda item, and even the Zoom links are tiny and the tiniest font to find out how to get into the meeting. So we need to really work on our democracy and our open government, which you say that you're supportive of, but we really need to do better with that. And that's my comment about that. And so I guess I'm going to go look at the agenda and see what else. So we appreciate that. Oh, I hope this is public comment in the beginning of the meeting, which I'm very much appreciate, and that we need to do that on all of our meetings. Every one of our meetings needs to be open comment in the beginning, and that needs to go throughout all of our meetings outside of council into the meetings that deal with the general plan amendments, the development at the Diridon station. This is really a problem that they're following your lead, which is to put it at the end. This is the problem. We the people first. Whose street?
Thank you, Tessa. Scott?
All right, great. Thank you, everybody. I always really enjoy listening to Tessa talk. I'm telling you, that woman should run for office. I would back her in a heartbeat. The reason I'm commenting right now, and of course I'm still going to hit that hand up for public comment that I believe is at the end for open forum. The reason I'm talking about these other items that you're discussing for the upcoming agenda is they're impossible to access in a way. When you want to go on to this Zoom meeting, You've got to navigate your website. Now, when you're on a smarty phone and you're not sitting in front of a computer, it is very, very difficult. Sometimes you're able to hit that hyperlink. I mean, there's really no hyperlink for the meeting. You copy it, you paste it, you deal with all this drama, when you're trying to participate in the affairs of your government. Why is this not right on your city website? Like the first thing, boom, Zoom, meeting in session right now. Why is there not a sign on the side of City Hall, maybe in some little red lighting that says meeting going online, something to alert the public? Because this is all backdoor politics, is what I see it as. You guys don't want the public to participate. You don't want to hear from me. And you really don't want to hear from anybody. So I do appreciate the public chiming in, and I did exactly what Tessa was talking about. I'm sorry, her friend Jason. I'm sending people the Zoom link. Okay, I'm getting more familiar with navigating it. Just make it more user friendly. And when we get on the subject of the body cameras that we're going to need to get released to the public, this is very important stuff that we need to access. We need to get it all out there on the table. Remember, guys, they were using legal observers, journalists, and law-abiding citizens as targets. And that was the footage that would have been very important. I was able to achieve a lot of that footage as being a legal observer, but I paid the price. I got shot a lot out there, and it's just unacceptable. And I'm being retaliated against now.
Thank you.
Calls
Thank,
for
thank you, Scott. Thank you. Jeremy?
Hi. So please put the Zoom meeting link at the top of the agenda, and please do release the body cam footage. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the speakers. Does anyone want to reconsider their vote for the agenda of August 4th? All right, if not, let's vote on the agenda for August 11th. Do we have a motion for that? I don't think so.
I thought we did, but if not, I'll move approval.
All right.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, motion passes. All right, on to the public record.
Motion to note and file.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
There are two
I
public.
believe,
Oh, I'm sorry, we have two public comments. Thank you.
yeah.
Blair?
Hi, can I be able to speak on the agenda items of August 11th?
Sure, Blair. Can you take a minute?
It's short. It's a minute. Yes, exactly. I can take 1 minute. Man, thank you. Okay. For the items 2.9 and 2.10, one is about Hummingbird Community Energy. And I just wanted it to be able to remind yourselves of the very good practices that there can be with community energy. And I think that has to be just a real important focal point for all of us, how we can talk about our future of democracy and a community. And it's really, really good stuff for everybody in the community. I hope, more people getting involved with it is just a better experience for all of us as a community and better openness. So thank you for that. And you're going to have issues with the BART extension to Berryessa. I went to that station and, in a 300-foot space, there is, over 60 speakers in the ceiling that are just basically, eavesdropping on our voices. And there's these huge, massive things. They're making it very clear what they're doing. And I find it incredibly insulting. And it's an issue that I feel we're going to have to end and not have, and really talk about at the VTA and talk about different choices with that project. And thank you.
Okay. So I guess I should ask, does anyone want to reconsider their vote on agenda item for August 11th based on Blair's input? If not, Tessa?
Okay, good. So I guess one comment I have is that when we talk to you about the things that disturb us or what we want in our community, we need to make this more of an interactive experience. Like I've been telling you many times at the school board meetings, even though I homeschool my children, but I heard from other neighbors, that they respond to our comments. It's not like going into an empty box where you have no feedback. When we bring you issues, we need a response. And, we need to address these issues, saying, oh, how we're going to fix things and what we're going to do. So that is something that needs to happen, that it doesn't go into a box. We need responses. We need you to be able to respond to what we're talking about. And I think any of our comments, there should be a written response back. And that's what we need to have done. And so I guess, on our little cards, we would put our emails and our phone numbers. Okay, well, we need that response. And so I will tell you my email is cleanairsj@gmail.com. Clean air, like we need to breathe. We don't have in San Jose. Okay, so these are issues that we need to have addressed. And that when we address things, we want a response back. That would be part of democracy. And that would part of reducing the hostility and anger that is on our streets. Is because we feel that we're in a vacuum. We're not getting heard. Things are falling apart. And so we need that to happen. And this is where we can start using that muscle of feedback. So we feel like we're being heard. So we reduce the hostility or the frustration that's going on in our community under Black Lives Matter and what's happening around our country. So we need that kind of feedback and using that muscle that you're hearing us.
Thank you, Tessa. Scott?
Great. Thank you, everybody. Scott Largent. As I'm getting more familiar with city meetings right here, and this is not a committee that I normally participate in, the Rules Committee, so I am kind of just bear with me. I'm trying to kind of figure everything out right here. On the last approval right now of the agenda, wouldn't that have been a great opportunity to discuss the fact that the Zoom thing is buried in your agenda? Wouldn't that be a great opportunity? I mean, you've had 4 comments today right now that have said the same thing. And this is a common problem with these Zoom meetings or meetings in general with the city council. So why not discuss it? Why not just do a solid right now and say, hey, that's a great idea. Why do we have all these people coming forward? You need to start listening to the public. We are your customers, okay? In the private sector, and I say this a lot, this would not fly at all. Okay, why is it so difficult? And I'm also having a problem on the Smarty phone. When I try to scoot over to the right where we have all the meetings and the MP3 files and the agenda, it's not user friendly. Something is wrong with that site. And we need to put it up in the corner, up on the main website, and start letting us participate. That's all we're asking for. I call it the anti-democratic city of San Jose, and I call it that for a reason. When people tried to participate in your guys' meetings, you drag them out for clapping, you intimidate them, you harass them. And then when the public wants to go out in front of that city hall, exercise their democratic values, what do then? Okay, you use them as target practice because you really don't want to hear them talk. Well, I'm recommending to the public, start doing shock and awe. Start filling out a speaker card for every item, okay? Until you people are going to start listening. That would be great. I'm going to send this.
Hey, thank you, Scott. Actually, Tony, you want to address part of those comments?
Yes, in early June, I asked Granicus to edit the cover page to add in some extra stuff. I can't edit the cover page on the agenda. Granicus has to edit that. I have asked them to add that information to the cover page. I followed up with them this morning, and prior to this meeting, I started adding the Zoom links directly on the Legistar calendar, so one does not have to open up the agenda to get to the Zoom link. I did that around noon today for the next few meetings. This afternoon, I'm going to be adding the Zoom links for all of the rest of the meetings for the year directly on the Legistar calendar. So on the Legistar calendar, in fact, it might be easier to share the screen so I can show you what I'm talking about. So usually it just says virtual meeting. Like here this morning, I started adding the Zoom link to make it, you have to copy and paste it. It's not a live link. I can't change that. But I did start that today. I'm following up with Granicus about the cover page. I do agree we need to make that information easier to access. And I'm doing what I can with what I'm allowed to do with the technology. But hopefully Granicus will go back to me today and we'll have that up very soon.
Great. Thank you, Tony. All right, we have a motion on the floor and it's been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Just sounded like,
Aye.
only heard Johnny.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's better. It's been all opposed, motion passes. There is nothing on the consent calendar. So we are on to item H1, Community and Economic Development Committee Work Plan.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Right, been moved and seconded. And we have two public speakers. First is Blair Beekman.
Hi, Councilperson Jones. I'm sorry to report, but you're just always a step behind today. I wanted to speak on the public record. Now, can I speak on that too now, and then speak possibly on H2 as well?
Blair, you spoke on the public record.
No, I spoke on the agenda item of August 11th, and you said I could if I took a minute, and I did. I took about a minute.
Yeah, it's a minute. I gave you a minute for both items.
No, you didn't say that. You said I can have a minute to speak on the August 11th, was my understanding. I would like to speak on public record. I have an important speech for my 2 letters that I wrote that week in public record. And then I would like to maybe speak on item H2.
Okay, Blair, what I will do is I will give you a total of 2 minutes.
Uh-huh.
You have a minute to speak on the public record and you have
What is item H2, if I can ask? I understand what you're saying.
right.
I'll do that.
It's the Community and Economic Development Committee Work Plan.
Okay, thank you. That's what we'll do.
And that's where we are now.
All right, yeah. And so I will speak my public record speech and yeah, and we'll go with what remaining time left. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks. And this will clear us up, hopefully, so we can all be on the same page now. All right, thank you. Do I start
Keep going,
now?
Blair. You got a minute and 51 seconds.
All right, thank you. Police budget reallocation and restructuring by Berkeley and Oakland at this time can be good examples for all Bay Area communities and their individual city needs. We have had to arrange a lot of our lives and the worries of COVID-19. Thank you to all of our efforts. Interestingly, it can be a time to consider the good ideas and principles that undoubtedly were working parallel at the time of the COVID-19 pandemic, or as the COVID-19 pandemic was growing and developing over the past year. Is with these sort of reasoning that is how to understand the years of already well-researched human rights and civil protection practices for a community. This can include ideas of equity, housing rights, workers' rights, and police budget reallocation and restructuring at this time. All of this while still respecting how a police department can still be needed by the community and local neighborhoods. And however we will begin to move forward at this time, I hope we will first consider we no longer have to hurt mass numbers of people in the needs of long-term social planning. My own work over 5 years now with new and communities, technology and surveillance accountability guidelines has broad implications for many other concepts and projects within a community and its city government, and how simple, open, local community democratic practices can help develop the ideas of peace and positive sustainability, and how to address the end of continual war and its shock doctrine practices. It is with many community working together towards genuine positive sustainability ideas that can create peace and better reasoning, and how to develop a collective good reasoning with good policy and asks of the national, international level, and of the UN and WHO as well. To conclude, I hope this can ease the pain and help to explain the current place we are in within a community as a culture and as a human population at this time in the year 2020. Thank you.
All right, Blair, we're all caught up, right?
Right, we're right, correct.
Okay. So does anybody want to reconsider their vote on the public record? If not, next speaker is Tessa.
Okay, you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I guess one of the comments is that it would be great if one thing was in terms of having the agenda item like on a screen so we could see where we are at and what's going on in terms of the meeting, so that you create a camera that would show where we are like you do at City Hall. We need to emulate that to keep us all engaged, to know what items are being discussed. You could have one with the whole agenda on it, maybe. That would be good. And then one just showing which agenda item we're talking about now. In addition, we also need to have the names of the people and what their titles are, so we know who everybody is. And so it would say Deb Davis, Council District 6. It would say, David Sykes, that he's the general manager. So we have more understanding of who people are. That would be helpful. And then just getting back to specifically, I think the item that we're dealing with is economic development. And yes, we have closed the street of down by, anyway, that beautiful area downtown that we've closed. Thank you. That's great. Close it for cars. We need to do that for all of Santa Clara. Obviously we need to do it for all of San Jose, but that's another story. But we appreciate that you took the step of closing it down for economic development. And what I've been saying is, and asking my council member, Deb Davis, we need to shut down the streets. We need to make some of the streets safe for our community, especially under COVID-19, where we're walking more and we're trying to be separated. And the response is, oh no, that doesn't work. The fire department doesn't like it. Oh, and also DOT doesn't like it. Whose streets? Our streets. And that's what we need to do. I want Shealy Avenue to not be a through street. And I don't want to hear no for an answer. You did it already.
Thank you, Testa. Robert?
Yes, I'd like to speak on H2 and the memos that are coming out about that. I believe that we need to open up the water.
Robert, you said you wanted to speak on H2?
Is that what we're on?
We're on H1. So
okay, I did have a comment on each one, but let me get back to. I thought we had jumped ahead. I'm sorry. Can I pause? Can you come back to me for a sec?
You would be the last speaker. Need.
Okay. All right. So on that one, I think I remember. I'm not looking at it right now because I can't jump to it. But I believe it had to do with housing and affordable housing and things like that. If I'm correct. So what I think we need to expand our committees to be looking at other things, such as foreign investments that are creating ghost houses, that are properties that are not being rented out or not being lived in, that are affecting the number of people that are able to find housing and also drive the cost of housing up higher. We also need to look at properties that are being put into foreclosure with the possibility of converting those to a community land trust, so that we can keep people in housing for longer periods of time at lower rates, so that we don't continue to drive up the rental costs here in San Jose. I think we also need to look at a lot of the surplus property that the city has. And I know that they put things out to bid for people to be able to buy. But I also think that the city has a certain responsibility due to redlining and some of the other practices that were done to allow low-income people to be able to get in there and not have to pay market rate for those properties, because those people and many generations have been robbed for so long, and it's impossible to catch up with the economic buildup that people of privilege have been able to enjoy for long periods of time. So we need to look at how we do things to try to provide more equity for more of our citizens.
Thank you, Robert. Scott?
Just a suggestion about the process here. I mean, you can interrupt me if you want, but why not find some random person, give him a smarty phone, and ask him to log onto your meeting and see how difficult it is? Because Robert's correct. He doesn't know what. It's very confusing.
Hey, Scott?
It's very confusing, though.
Hey, Scott, sorry for interrupting you, but I have given you a lot of leeway in this meeting, but I got to ask you to try to stay on point in terms of we're discussing community and economic development. So can you do me a favor and just focus your remarks on the particular topic that we're on?
Yeah, and that's no problem. I can definitely do that.
I
Can you do
appreciate
me a
that.
solid and focus on the issues that I brought to your table, Chappie? Could you maybe focus on the community complaints I put right in front of you?
I
Because
we
if you do
I
me a
have an open
solid,
door.
Chappie, I'll do you a solid. Okay, it's a two-way street right here. And this is our public comment. These are our agenda items. And you work for the American public, and you seem to keep forgetting that. The public's fed up of not being able to access this stuff, and you people are not
Scott,
listening at all.
Scott, I gotta ask you to stay on topic. All right. We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor? Say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. All right, on to H2, Neighborhood Services and Education Committee Work Plan. And I'm gonna go ahead and let Blair speak on this now. So Blair.
Hi, thank you. Sorry for the confusion. I hope we've worked everything out. Yeah, we're on to item H2 now, so thank you. And how work to future ideas can relate to neighborhood services and education. I hope you can take heart what can be the improvements of the Mayor's Gang Task Force, where people from work to force sometimes go to. Better connections between Youth Advisory Commission, Youth of Everyday Community, and the Mayor's Gang Task Force, along with the voices and ideas of new council persons, I felt is what we were all working on pre-COVID-19. Good luck in these efforts. Thanks.
Thank you. Tessa?
Thanks. You can hear me?
Yes, we
Thank
can.
you. Okay, good. Well, I do appreciate I'm seeing an improvement on your website in that you're adding the item number as I'm talking. That's really good. But you wrote NSE work plan. Do you think I know what that means? No. So let's just work it out. Like let's spell it out. You can take more time. I mean, we pay you good salaries. You can write it out. Neighborhood service and in education. Okay, work plan. So we know what it's about. And it's not easy to always get it all together. So neighborhood services, staying on topic, was in regards to one is to that we're not getting enough from our developers to really pay for our infrastructure, our neighborhood services, our roads are unsafe to travel on, and that we are not getting those improvements when we're having so much development and intensification of the amount of people that are living here. And as we are addressing the issues of going into tomorrow's meeting that's going to deal with the general plan review. And we're looking at, they're proposing much more intensification and densification of our neighborhoods to take us away from the single family home to much more densification. And so with that has to come quality of life. We need to improve the things that make our quality of life okay. And one of those is a noise ordinance. We need a comprehensive noise ordinance, especially as we're intensifying our living situations. We need a comprehensive noise ordinance. And so that is something you really need to work on. And then in terms of our safe streets, that it has to be engineering solutions. None of this dealing with police enforcement or education. We need structural engineering solutions to our roads, and we need to get the money from the developers and from our city budgets to put it into engineering. The millions of dollars for Vision Zero, it needs to be into engineering solutions. That's the only way we're going to solve our safety on our streets.
Thank you, Tessa. Robert?
Yeah, it says we're deeply into this COVID-19. We're starting to realize how the people's inability to be able to pay rent and to be able to feed themselves and their families is kind of short-sighted of us not to look into the future and realize how we're not really educating the public about what is coming. And if you just close your eyes and pretend like it's not going to happen, it's not going to make it go away. It's not going to make it not happen. But there's a lot of really negative information out there about people that are unhoused. And I think that this committee needs to take on that responsibility of trying to explain to people how people that are unhoused are not there because they chose to be there. You can ask any of the people from the Paradise Fire if that's was their choice. You can ask a lot of other people that are going to be having to move out into the streets because they can't pay their rent, they can't pay the back rent, they can't pay for their medical expenses or anything else that's coming up, and then they become unhoused. Was that their choice? You know, we need to get this committee, this Neighborhood Services Education Committee work plan to include trying to, you know, foresee what's going to happen and how to address those things, and start getting that messaging out so that people don't have these stereotypical views about people that are living out in the streets and making these inappropriate comments like, well, if they just worked harder, or if you know, they made better choices in their life, or if they, you know what, you know what things, these things, sorts of things were being used against people of color for many generations, and has held people back from being able to progress and be able to be a part of this society. So we need to stay a step ahead of that, especially with the Black Lives Movement opening our eyes to what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Jeremy?
We should invest more neighborhood services in East San Jose than any other part. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from my colleagues, or can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. All right, on to Transportation, Environment, and the Transportation and Environment Committee work plan. We have Blair.
All right, thank you. Shoot. Okay, found it, I think. I can't find my speech. Okay, from the City of San Jose, shoot. With the federal mandates to place more 4 and 5G broadband and Vision Zero technology in local neighborhoods at this time, another reminder that a slow, responsible pace with minimal use practices can very well develop 4G and 5G broadband Vision Zero technology for San Jose neighborhoods in the next few years, and that it can even cover about as much territory and accomplish about as much as the same goals as the oversaturation of technology use in local San Jose neighborhoods. These should be understandable ideas to San Jose city government, and they're already well-organized, good-minded, well, not so much good-minded, but well-organized pre-COVID-19 plans and practices. From this, San Jose city government needs to be sure it could partnerships with large telecom corporations is working towards an open and transparent relationship with the everyday community, as telecoms need to be sure to mail proper notifications so people can be aware. Good open practices can better allow for next steps. I hope San Jose city government can learn to feel secure enough to openly teach the community the health and safety risks associated with 4G and 5G, and teach how everyday people can take their own steps to question and appeal 4G and 5G and other Vision Zero surveillance technology that is currently being placed in local SJ neighborhoods. No one to be left behind in the future of digital inclusion should include the ideas of how all forms of technology need to be accountable to the everyday community. To conclude, as we are now living in a state-sponsored COVID-19 world, the ideas of how to develop local community harmony should be more important than ever. It is working together openly that is how to have positive and an innovative community, and how we can all better address at the local level the massive push of surveillance and technology from the federal government at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Blair. Tessa?
Hi, yes, you can hear me?
We can hear you.
Thank you. All right, great. So transportation and the environment, beautiful on my screen. Love that. Thank you. Work plan. Okay, so basically, we really need to deal with our pollution. That is one of the big issues in terms of COVID-19 and the impacts on the lower income neighborhoods, because that is called environmental racism, and that we have such a problem on the east side of San Jose because of the way the streets are designed, and they're so car based, and there's so much pollution with highways and everything like that. So we really, and that's what the Bay Area Air Quality Management District has proven, that the science has proven that we are a care community. And it starts in my neighborhood on Stockton Avenue, approximately on, at the edge of the Rose Garden, and it goes to the East Hills. And we need to solve our pollution problems. And as an issue of equity, when we talk about equity, we need to really deal with our pollution in terms of COVID-19, as that is the element that makes it worse for those that get it. It's the ones that are weakened already from pollution, from asthma, heart disease, diabetes, all the things, because we don't have a walkable community. We need to really work on that. We need to stop the BART to Santa Clara. That is coming up. And that when all that money, the $500 million, that needs to be put into our roads to make every street a safe street with separated bike lanes. And we need to do that urgently, as we are facing so many of our crises. And so right now we need to put all that money to stop the BART to Santa Clara, and to use the money to go towards improving our street infrastructure, engineering safe streets, and creating bike lanes on all major roads to address the issues of pollution and make it safe that people will get out to bike.
Thank you, Tessa. Robert?
Yeah, I just had an epiphany. I was going to talk more about the transportation and some of my concerns about that, but there's another kind of transportation that I want to address, and that is I'm starting to realize that this rules committee is more or less a rubber stamp of many other committees that have submitted their work plans or their reports, and then so this committee just approves the report to go on to the main arena, which is the city council meeting. So I would like to recommend that, in the interest of being able to navigate your way through this, that there be a page set up to explain all the different commissions and how they feed into this meeting, where they get approved to be able to be put onto the big meeting, so that people's comments, that like the comments I know that I've been making about how we can do things differently or better, can't really be acted upon, because this is not that particular committee. This is not the transportation committee. You're just approving their plans of what they're going to be doing for the rest of the year or whatever. And we're not talking about the individual items within those reports. And so now I know I need to go to some of like the airport commission or some of the other local and regional transportation planning and project meetings and all the other different meetings, so that my input can make a difference at that point. Hopefully that's where that difference can be made, because I see this now as this tsunami that's working its way through the government. And by the time it gets to this point, it's too late. We can't affect it. You can't redirect that river. It's already cut its path, and it's headed towards the city council. And by the time we comment at city council, it's already flooded. It's too late. So I would hope that in the interest of transparency, we can come up with a way to tie all these different committees together, so people can understand better how they can influence and when they can influence, rather than trying. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Scott?
Great. Good afternoon, everyone. Scott Larchin. Have we, as far as the environment work plan that we have here, have we ever looked into the impact of not having functioning bathrooms in the city of San Jose right now? I know we just recently opened some of them. I was having a conversation with Cindy Chavez, same with Big Daddy Joseph Midian, but a lot of the homeless right now, the mentally ill, and I'm also speaking from experience right now. At 5 o'clock, when the county building shuts down, finding a bathroom is damn near impossible. And I have talked about this. I'm pretty open about this. People are defecating, they're urinating, they're vomiting on every business entrance throughout all of downtown. Doesn't that go into the waterways? Doesn't that go into the Guadalupe? And when you go over to some of these other sites where you have your pickups, you can't have dumpsters there, because the trash companies do not want all the urine bombs in there, all the feces in bags and buckets, and And why don't we open up more bathrooms? Why aren't we opening up the bathrooms at City Hall just to allow the mentally ill and homeless to use a brick and mortar bathroom that's easier to clean? It just seems safe. It seems healthy. And I need a bathroom to use. You know, I'm getting older. It's hard to hold it that long. You know, and I got to go. And I hope people don't get offended by this, but using a bag and a bucket or the side of a building is the only option. And that's very, very sad. And more people that I'm talking to, it's the same thing. And come on, guys, can we turn the water back on? These people are thirsty at the parks right now. We could at least do that or bring out some water. That's a simple thing. So thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Jeremy?
The bike lanes downtown are pretty awesome, but what's happening is nobody's using them. So I think that if we want people to switch from cars to bikes, we need to look at it as more of a cultural change. And just like there was a team that was sent out to research high-speed rail, you could send a team to cities that do biking well, like Davis. But the only thing that we know for certain is whatever you're doing for bicycles right now is not working. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. So I would like to request whoever the maker of the motion is, if they can include in the work plan for December 7th, under the quarterly activity report, specific reference to the Stevens Creek corridor study to be included in that particular item.
So moved. And as chair, I'm happy to get that update at that time.
Thank you, Councilmember Davis. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes. And that was the last item, so we're on to open forum. And
Councilmember, did we skip PizFizz?
at least the version I have, I don't have PizFizz on it.
Yeah, I don't think we have a PizFizz agenda for approval.
Is there an updated?
Excuse me then, you're right.
Nope.
I was also going to ask about smart cities. Do we have a work plan for that? Or did we already pass it and I forgot?
I
We did
believe
it.
we've already passed those.
Yeah, we did it last week.
Okay. It's
Alright.
great. Because I knew it was on my calendar, but then I didn't see the work plan, so I wasn't sure if we had done it or we were going to have a meeting next week or not. Thank you.
You got it. And okay, so for open forum, Tessa?
All right, good. You can hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me? Yes, thank you. Okay, good. I guess I don't have to ask. I don't know. It just feels good to have that feedback. Thank you. So basically, I guess the one thing that came up in my interest to discuss was the $10 million that you're using, that you've got approved to spend to get people to fly. You know, that is so evil, okay, to do that. When, you know, that, and that's what it's about. You know, it's, you know, what I call the people that aren't really dealing with the crises that we're dealing with, which are climate, ecological collapse, housing crisis, and public health crisis, which includes the pandemic and pollution. Those people, I refer to them as evil, immoral, selfish, and greedy, those four adjectives. And when you are spending $10 million to tell people to go fly, to encourage people to go fly, and that's my tax dollars, okay? That makes me mad, okay? And that the thing is that flying, it was even reported in the news from the CDC director, whatever his name is, Redfield, from the federal government, that they didn't shut down the traffic from Europe to New York and then to the rest of the country. And that's why 60,000 people came into the United States every day from Europe, spreading COVID-19. And that was the cause. Our airplanes were the cause. And that's the same issue that happened 100 years ago in the original pandemic, was the movement of troops during World War one. And it's the movement of people that is causing us to have the pandemics that we're having, and that you're spending $10 million to tell people to keep flying so that we can support this economic growth that we do not need. We need to start stopping the economic growth. We need to use COVID-19 as this is our chance to do things differently, because we need to do things greatly differently in terms of climate change. And so we need to start changing the way we're doing business.
Thank you, Tessa. Scott?
Thank you, everyone. Scott Largent. Got a little distracted here for a second. I was looking at photos of my little girl. She turned 5 years old, kind of right in the middle of this pandemic. And I'm not sure if many of you know, visitation has been basically cut off from our court systems, basically throughout the California. I was able to see my daughter about 10 hours a week, and it has now been almost 4 months. I miss my daughter a lot. It's a big reason why I got sober 5 years ago. And I love you to death, Kalia, and I will continue to fight. I have backed away right now because that is starting to put me literally into the grave. I am starting to get very depressed, kind of this catatonic thing where you're just looking out into nowhere. I cry myself to sleep at night. I miss my daughter more than anything. And I have asked, I have begged, you guys know it, I'm probably the biggest pain in the butt in the world, but what I wanted was that safety net to be there. I was a business owner here in Silicon Valley for about 20 years, and I paid into this system, and I helped build Silicon Valley. And I needed something there, and it was a simple thing. When you throw in the towel and you want to get clean and you want to be a father, that's where somebody should be there. That's where drug treatment should be, mental health services. It wasn't there. I have begged the county for treatment, and I'm 5 years sober, and I was a meth addict, but I need drug treatment. And it's the same with the thousands of people that are right out in front of City Hall, up and down those streets. They need drug rehab. They need mental health services. They need help. And what else do they need? Water. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Blair?
Hi, thank you. San Jose has started some more open, accountable government practices. Thank you. I hope the city of San Jose will start to always want to show their motions on the screen before votes are taken at city council meetings. Thank you for this. And for the first time, a city government is starting to have both Spanish and Vietnamese translation at the same time. Start to ask how Zoom and city government of San Jose can simply use the words Spanish and Vietnamese with the translation use on the Zoom app. I hope San Jose can learn to end its laziness and its bad practices of replacing Zoom codes an hour before rules in open government meetings. Thank you for the meeting today. With the meeting of yesterday, thank you for the incredible work of making it a community process with a strong mayor initiative. I still really very much feel that I'm very worried of the idea of the mayor creating a channel for redevelopment and housing. For the mayor to have that exclusive power, it's uncomfortable to me. Whereas opposed to the already, developing ideas of smaller administrative changes and how the council voice can be a stronger factor at this time. How, those are the kind of issues that I want to be able to talk about and think about at the charter process in the next year and the community process about this in the next year. So good luck to yourselves on this issue. And thank you to the city of Oakland and Berkeley. They made some really incredible efforts at this time towards, real genuine ideas of police reform and restructuring. And it can be just good ideas for the entire Bay Area to try to practice and understand and take good lessons from it. So I hope we can do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Blair. Robert?
Unmute was late to appear. All right. Yeah, I want to talk about how we are now becoming more woke about things thanks to Black Lives Matter. But we also have a very large population of unhoused people. And I'd like to see some sort of commission or some sort of committee or something that goes beyond just a study, because we can study racism forever and it's not going to make any changes. What we need to do is form a committee of people that can actually put something into action or propose things to go into action for the people that are unhoused. And there's a lot of people that are currently living in that condition, many more than what appear in the point in time count. There's also people that fall into this situation throughout the year, between the years of doing the point in time count. There's a pregnant woman. She's 8 months pregnant. She's over by Happy Hollow, and we're trying to get her house somehow. Her and her boyfriend. We would hate to see that baby born outdoors. I've seen a number of those already going on through my experience at the jungle. But I think we need to have some people that are involved in the socioeconomic lower, what most people consider the lower echelons of people that have the least amount of voice in what's going on. And this city owes it to itself and to its population to be able to allow those people to have a much stronger voice, because they are victims themselves and have no way out other than to look to see if other people are willing to help them out, because the resources that are there are very limited, and oftentimes are limited by time. You have 90 days or 60 days or something to utilize those services, and beyond that, you're on your own. And ask any kid that comes out of foster home or any runaway, and find out what kind of resources are out there. They're pretty limited. Um, Single women with children also very limited. We need more support. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Jeremy?
So 3 items. For the unhoused, we don't have to recreate the wheel. San Diego actually city and county are working together. They've done an awesome job of bringing down their population. So they have big tents for transitional housing. We can literally just copy San Diego. For the upcoming changes in downtown, what I think would be beneficial is if we have more focus on upzoning when you live close to transit. There's no reason a house that has 7,000 square feet has only got one residence, and something that you can walk to the train station. So I like the idea of R4, but maybe where there's R1, you could do R2. And the third item, I'd like to see more incentives for small businesses. I think it's important that we try to seed San Jose with businesses that will, one day grow into large businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Katrina?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, this is open forum where we can talk about anything, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so I just wanted to comment. I've been tuning in on YouTube, and I think it was Robert that had mentioned when things go already to the council, there's already been this back process. And so once we have a chance to talk like this, the ball's already been rolling, and you already have your minds set up in terms of how you're going to vote or whatever. And so I agree with him that there needs to be more communication about those back meetings, so that way we can have hopefully more input, because that's another thing that I've been noticing as I tune into these city council meetings, is how frustrating it is that we voice our opinions and they just get glazed over, and it's frustrating. And then also, like I said, I was listening through YouTube, which was easier for me. Luckily, I'm at home, and I quickly ran to my computer to get involved, because I felt like I needed to voice my opinion and frustration about how difficult it is to participate in these meetings. And so I had to super quickly try to find a number or some way to get involved. And the only way that I could find quickly was to join the Zoom meeting. So if you're putting it on YouTube, there should be a number down there that you can call. So that way, if you're not at a computer, you have a number that you can access, because it's frustrating. The process is really frustrating. And if we want to be democratic, you really need to make it easier, because it's not that people don't want to get involved. You just don't make it very easy. Even your website was the whole thing was just a train wreck. So that's my 2 cents. Hopefully somebody heard it.
Yes, thank you. All right, that was our last speaker. Meeting is adjourned.